I used to think meal planning meant preparing 5 brand new meals every week, and I think that's why it kept failing.
This is how I plan meals for the week with less stress, less food waste, and food that I actually want to eat.
The first thing that changed everything for me was planning. Planning is your lifeline, and it will save you so much time. I used to plan every meal. That lasted exactly 2 days. Now I pick 3 to 5 meals and let the rest repeat or remix. Planning for me means writing down these meals. I put them in my phone, but if you want to put them on a piece of paper, on the fridge, wherever works for you, and these are going to be your options for the week. The key element here is that this plan shouldn't collapse if you decide to eat out once or twice. The method to my madness lives right here inside my Reminders app, inside my iPhone. If you have an iPhone, this app is literally built right into your phone, but you could duplicate this on a paper list. I just need it in my phone because if it's not literally attached to me, it will probably get lost. What I love about the Reminders app also is that I can create separate lists. You'll see I have a ton of lists in here. Notice that number of videos I got coming up for you anyways. I keep the meals for the week in here, and then I also have a grocery list. And the grocery list is also shared with my partner so that anytime we need something, forget something, we both have this list if we're out and need to pick something up, but it also can tie back in to the meals list for the week, and everything is in one place. Meal planning doesn't need to be strict or aesthetically pleasing, it just needs to work for your lifestyle. And how do we figure out what's going to go on this list for the week? Starting with one anchor ingredient. And for this week, it's focaccia bread. For your one anchor ingredient, you want to pick something that can go multiple ways. It's one base for multiple meals, so I usually recommend doing a protein or a carb. Sometimes I end up making a large chunk of meat in the crock pot. Sometimes I make a big pot of rice. This week I just decided on focaccia bread because it was a nice switch up from what we had done in weeks prior, and I could meal prep it on the weekend. That way I had this big loaf of focaccia bread that could turn into multiple meals over the week, or just operate as a nice little side dish.
Yeah, hi. We need to talk for a minute about this focaccia bread. So this is the basis for basically our entire week of meals, believe it or not. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but this is like a perfect amount for our household of two. It's going to be pizza, it's going to be sandwiches, it's going to be delicious. And this would not last in our house for a week. It would go bad before we ate it all if we didn't do it like this. And it sets you up for the week to not be wasteful and also to have a lot of diversity in what you make.
I use the focaccia bread to make these amazing little personal pan pizzas that kind of give cafeteria energy if it was really elevated, and also made these little Italian Sammies that had prosciutto, mortadella, fresh mozzarella. Everything kind of had similar vibes, but great for taking for quick lunches or just a mix up of a dinner. Like I said, the focaccia, it's gonna go bad before we can eat all of it, and also, I get bored of eating the same thing over and over and over again. So the focaccia was these 2 meals, we had to move on, and I thought, what better way to do some work with our freezer than to do some type of soup? Your freezer isn't for emergency food, it's for future you. It's for coming back to on the weeknights, knowing what's in here, and also maybe looking for those big proteins. Big proteins are cheaper and easier when you stop being afraid to freeze them. I use my freezer for longevity. That way I'm not creating waste with getting stuff in the fridge that forces me to eat it earlier in the week. We wanted to have salmon this week. I I prefer frozen salmon fillets over fresh because fresh fish in my house needs to be used that same day or the next day, and if I'm not feeling that, I would much rather have the flexibility of a frozen fillet that I can thaw out whenever is convenient for me. Some things in the freezer you might not have time to thaw. We're on the move, we got places to be. That's where we get into the crock pot.
They really were not lying in the 2000s when crock pots were really all the hype, because mine is my best friend when it comes to meal prep. Now, is mine actually an Instapot? Yeah, times are tough. We need an appliance that does multiple things in this day and age. But slow cooking and pressure cooking in this will be a huge game changer in how you prep things for the week. Most food waste happens because we buy produce without a plan.
Fresh is great, but fresh doesn't always mean we have time to cook it. We need convenience. And trust me, there's no guilt with convenience because you can still build a very hearty meal around a crock pot. We have our carb, we have our protein that we're building around, but I'm telling you, if you don't focus on the fruit and veg, you are going to be lacking in vitamins. If you start with the vegetables, the rest of the meal figures itself out. So when you're deciding what styles of food you want to have during the week, think about fruits and veggies first.
I just did dishes. That's why my shirt's wet. No other reason.
This isn't about eating better for a week or a month. It's about building habits you can come back to when life gets busy again. If there's one thing I hope you take from this, it's that meal planning doesn't have to be strict or perfect. It just has to work for your week. Start small, use what you already have, and give yourself some grace. If this video helped you, make sure you're subscribed. Let me know in the comments what you're trying to plan around this week. Thank you, as always, for joining me at the table, and I will see you back here again soon. Bye!